Yes, you may not think of yourselves as experts, but 9 times out of 10, the person sitting for you or the person commissioning the work won't have commissioned a portrait before. So you are the expert, and it's your job to make them feel safe. You need to manage their expectations along the way and stay one step ahead all the time so they know what's happening next. And that's not just on a mechanical level, it's on an emotional level too. I had a problem with a portrait once where there was a failure of communication and the sitter felt that the artist didn't want to draw them. And this wasn't the case. What was happening really was the artists had their own personal problems, which meant he wasn't in communication and wasn't responding to calls. And an email to say, forgive me if I go quiet for a while, I've got things to deal with, I'll come back to you, would have stopped all that happening. So manage expectations when things go wrong, particularly if you need to start again or a sitting has to be cancelled, or if you're going to be late, just manage it ahead of time so the client feels respected and safe. Agreement in writing, I think we've covered, that's really important, and that's what you go back to make sure things are clear. Portraits are a very personal thing. They're not usually very contractual. I very rarely draw up a full contract. So for American lawyers or actually British solicitors, yeah, I do a few contracts, but it's usually for business. For personal commissions, so much of it is about relationship and trust. You just draw out the broad parameters of what's expected. Size, medium, content, timings, all the things that are important to the client. Be organised, punctual and polite, as I'm sure you all are. But turning up on time and that sort of thing. Not turning up on time can show disrespect rather than disorganisation. So that needs to be ameliorated if it goes wrong. I just thought I'd talk about an actual commission. This one's just been finished. It came about through the death of a father. It rather brought David up short. It made him realise how important families are, and it made him aware of his own mortality. And a portrait is something that's a weapon against ephemerality, against mortality. It throws love into the future. It's a legacy for future generations. So he thought that a portrait commission would be a good way to spend his inheritance. This is an interesting family, not a typical one really. They're a gay couple with 2 adopted sons. So bonding the family and making them feel part of a legacy was particularly important to this commission motivation. They wanted a large picture of the family looking relaxed, football kit, sofas, not a formal sit-up traditional portrait. So they started by looking online, and they found Simon Davis. Simon's practice is to take photographs. So he went up and saw them and spent a day with them, taking photographs as he went, observing quietly while he wasn't photographing. He talked about the composition, the location, and they worked on that together. And then he showed them his photographic compositions for approval. And they worked on those until they got one they were all happy with. He then built the painting up from a drawing, taking on the key pieces. If you note how they're all intertwined, the knees touch, the hands touch, the whole family is bound together. This was done in a matter of months after a delay for various personal reasons. And it's something that the family treasure. It has brought them a sense of lasting family and an object that they really enjoy. And I think Simon's caught them looking really relaxed. I love the way that they are intertwined and the busyness of the background. So yes, happy. It's amazing how many people are profoundly moved by their portraits. I don't think you as creators realise how much they mean to the sitters. Very often, somebody will burst into tears on seeing a portrait for the first time. So, I thought I'd bring this up. I love this. He's a great character, and really enjoyed the whole thing with June Mendoza. But this slide actually, in a way, is to say, don't panic if a sitter is a little bit taken aback when they first see their portrait, or they see a portrait of somebody they love, because we're used to seeing ourselves in the mirror. That's the wrong way round. We see ourselves in photography. That's a snap of a moment. We have never seen ourselves having gone through the imagination of an artist. And for a moment, everything that's different to that can seem not right to the sitter. We're very funny about our own images. I think we all have a little bit of dysmorphia. Sometimes I look in a mirror and I think I look really great, and other times I think I look very sad and decrepit. And actually, the level of great that I think I am and the level of decrepit I think I am, I hope, are not quite true, either of them. And all these overlays go on to the first view of a portrait. So don't panic if they're not saying, yeah, great, like this. It can happen that people are getting used to it and learning. That doesn't mean it's not a good idea to listen and to engage with the sitter. If they think there's something wrong about this or that, it doesn't mean you write them off, because they do know themselves, they do know the people they love. But equally, you are the artist, you are the creator, and you are the one that knows that this is a successful portrait, and very often the sitter will learn over a bit of time. So, yes, listen, yes, adapt if necessary, but don't feel necessarily, because the client's not settled, that it's wrong. It takes time. So allowing the person to live with their portrait for a bit and learn to see themselves differently and to enjoy it for what it is and not for what they think it might be or should have been is a good thing. Having said which, when I started my career all 30-something years ago, I thought it would be fraught with difficulties. I thought it's so sensitive, it's so personal, it's bound to go wrong. People are bound to get very stressed about this. Actually, I've had years and years of very happy outcomes, and I'm quite pushed to think of examples of things that haven't worked. So be assured that you can have confidence that portraiture brings happiness. Hopefully, it shows love and is a legacy of an object of beauty as well as sentiment to cast into the future. So, the secret is communication. It's communicating what you can do, it's communicating what you are doing, and communicating what you're going to do. And that's two-way. It's both listening and speaking. And I think if you manage your communications carefully, it's very easy to be a good commissioned artist. So, yeah.